Conversations with them little voice of the people, the crew for you. Culture, creativity, knowledge, hope, opportunity, bring the light of minds. We shine, we break on through. Conversations with them too. Culture, creativity, knowledge, hope, opportunity, your voice matters, your gift shine through. Conversations with them too. Yeah. You are the stage. Shine.
Yo, family. What's up? Welcome back. Glad you are tuned in to another episode of Conversations with Them Two, the Shenanigan Crew. I'm your boy, MJ Smith, and
I'm your girl, Lady Des, and we're so glad that we're here tonight because we're talking about a topic that hits home for a lot of people this time of year. We're going to talk about money, mindset, and managing stress through the holidays.
Well, you mentioned holidays. That's stress enough.
I'm sorry, say that again, MJ.
You mentioned holidays. That is just stress enough.
Right?
But anywho, so we got to give a shout out though. That theme music, Conversations with Them Two, the anointed and so fabulous producer, Thaddeus.
Yes.
That's right. He put it down. All right, so let's get to the topic at hand. The last quarter of the year is always full of excitement, but it can be full of pressure. And when I say pressure, there's always pressure to top last year's gift. If not between gift buying, you worry about travel or unexpected expenses like cars breaking down. I should know mine just did it. Holidays can bring on financial strain and emotional fatigue.
Absolutely, MJ. And that's why tonight's conversation is all about learning how to spend smart and stay sane because that thing will drive you crazy if you let it. So we want to learn how to spend smart and stay sane, right? How to protect your peace, your pocket, and your purpose in this season because it's so important. And we've got our amazing guest joining us. She has over 25 years of experience in financial counseling and accounting. She all thing money, y'all. She all thing ching. And I am so glad that she's here. I want to call her Dr. Cheryl, but she's Miss Cheryl Knight Locke. How you doing, Miss Cheryl?
I'm doing great. Thank you both for having me. MJ, that guy, and Lady Davis. I appreciate the invitation. I'll take it. I'll take Dr. Locke too.
Listen, when you got all of that years of experience in what area, I mean, it's like you're a master at it. You're the doctor.
Absolutely.
And you have patients here that's still struggling, that's still sick, that need your help. So that's why you're here tonight.
Absolutely. Awesome. And when I think of Cheryl, we go back a whole bunch of years. And ever since I've been knowing her, it's always been about her managing the dollars. So when it comes to this financial safety, we are definitely, I can say, talking to the right person.
Awesome. I'm so glad because MJ, we're about helping our community. We're about bringing resources and making those connections with those that are ready to take their financial literacy to the next level, especially in the Black and Brown community, because we have a tendency to want to show out and spend money that we don't even have. So we're going to just jump right in. And by me bringing that up, Cheryl, I want to ask you, why do you think people feel so pressured to overspend during the holidays, even when they know that they can't afford it?
Well, I think it may come from just the way you grew up yourself. I'll say parents, for example, those of us who have children, maybe we if we didn't get a lot of presents growing up, maybe we want to make sure our kids have more than we did, or maybe we don't want the kids to know that we don't want our kids to know the truth about our money.
Mhm.
We may want our kids to think we have more than we really do. And just to give you a quick story, so there's a story. It's actually my husband shared the story with me about my bonus children. So before I met them, my husband and their mom bought them like a lot of toys, spent a lot of money on them. And of course they were happy momentarily. And then one of their uncles, you know what he bought them and got the most response? A gift card to McDonald's.
Mhm.
Wow.
And you know what? You saying that, I think a lot of times it's the parents that want to go all out. It's like you buy them this big truck because you like it and you think they're gonna like it, but
Mhm.
then they take it out of the box and play with the box and have the most fun with the box.
Absolutely. Pots
Yes,
and pans.
so I
So,
believe it's a lot of times it's us.
right,
Most
right.
definitely. I think it comes from wanting to overcompensate. A lot of times when, we as parents grew up, we somehow felt that we lacked a little bit. So we want to make sure that our kids don't feel the same way. So with that being said, Cheryl, what are some of the biggest financial traps that people fall into this time of year? And tell me how I, not them, but how I can avoid
And them.
them.
Okay. Well, I think just overall concepts that we can apply, whether it's during the holidays or just anytime. So one of the first things we want to do whenever we get paid is to put something before we do anything else. Well, if we're Christians, we believe in tithing, then, of course, the tithe. And then after that, then we're going to save for ourselves. And then, well, whatever we have left, that's what we have for everything else. So that requires that we have a budget. So just understanding what do we have. So that's one of the first steps. How much money am I bringing in every month? And
But you
then
know what?
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cheryl. You said a word that I think scares a lot of people,
Yeah,
and
budget.
that's
Yeah, or we can call it a spending plan. So it doesn't sound like budget like a bad word, the other B word. We don't want to use that one.
I just think anything dealing with saving money, budgeting money, just facing that fact, or should I say, we
Yeah,
don't
all of
want
us.
to visit that
Right.
for whatever reason. It scares us. It maybe it feels like it's taking something away.
It
Uh,
feels like a restriction, right? It feels like
right,
I should be able to do whatever I want with my money. It's my money and I should be able to do whatever I want with it. And I think Lady Des and I were talking before the show, and it's one of those things where let's get back to basics. When it comes to money, let's get back to basics. What's a way that we can stay out of credit card debt? Because that's definitely another, right? Because we put things on credit card for Christmas. And then the next December, we're still paying for things that we bought the previous December because we haven't paid them off. And
right,
that comes from one of those basic principles is let's spend less than we make. Like
absolutely.
it's really, really basic. And, there are so many books and, we can go to seminars and we can do all those things, but basic financial education 101, if you make $100, then let's not spend 105.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
You stepping on my toes now.
But listen, MJ, you're not by yourself.
Right,
That's a lot
absolutely.
of us. And I remember back in the day, when my husband and I we decided to really work on our finances, especially our credit. And I remember we used to challenge each other. And when he came to me with the challenge of, check your credit report, I did not want to look at it at all because I just felt that it was embarrassing. It was just at its lowest. However, to my surprise, it wasn't as bad as I thought. So what we started to do, we went to a financial literacy course and learning how to use our credit cards and what was the best way to use it. What was the best way to bring our credit scores up. And we had to really buckle down with it till we made it really fun between us. Like, what is your credit score? What? And we enjoyed watching it
Go up.
elevate. Yeah. And because we knew that it was something that we decided to do together. And it took a lot of discipline. Like the banks have overdraft fees and different things of that sort. I stopped all overdraft and I had to teach myself how to not depend on that because all of it's doing is paying the bank actually.
Right.
So it's just little steps like that you had to challenge yourself. And you may feel like it's hurting in the beginning, but in the long run, years later, it feels good to be able to go in and get what you need, or because they were like, child, I ain't finna deal with them. But when they see their credit score, they're like, come on in, let's see what you need. Absolutely. So it's definitely back to the basics and taking those baby steps.
Yes. Another suggestion is, and this is just overall, is you can, like you and your husband did the credit score game. Another game that you can play is to track everything that you spend and do that for 1 month, like every single thing. Just like get a notebook. Could be from like the dollar store or something, just one of those composition books that the kids use, and write down every single thing. Because sometimes we don't even know where the money goes.
You're right.
You're just like, oh, I didn't spend that much. Like, why don't I have it? But you don't realize that all those little purchases add up. And now we have all these conveniences, Uber Eats and, all the delivery services, DoorDash and all those things. So all that adds up. It adds up. It adds up. So if you track all of your spending for a month, even if you do it for a week, you'll be able to see, oh, maybe I can cut back here because maybe there you have more available than you realize if you shift some of your priorities.
Absolutely. MJ, I see we have, I don't know if you all are seeing the comments.
Yes, I am. Wanda D. Ewing says,
Hey,
actually,
Sissy.
gives you freedom. You know what you're going to spend without spending what you shouldn't. And that comes as a problem to a lot of us.
Yes.
Especially with the talk about this government shutdown and government opening and rising costs. Many families are already anxious because those that work for the government have no idea when they're going to see that full paycheck. How should we approach spending, or how should people approach holiday spending when their income or job situation is so shaky?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the time, especially, the adults in the family, to have those honest conversations because maybe this Christmas is just going to be different. Like, let's, create some memories, or instead of gifts, and maybe we're going to, have karaoke contest, or we're going to have game night, do some things that are still fun and creative and where your family can still celebrate, but it's not causing you to go further into debt and causing further financial strain for you and your family.
Yes, I agree. Creating memories is always something to have. And then I will go a step further and take pictures and video because these are things that you can keep after, whoever is long gone a lot of times. And you have those memories. MJ, why is your face like that?
Because I can't wear no, I can't wear no
The
pictures.
kids are going to be like, what?
You can't wear no what?
I can't wear no pictures and no videos.
But it's the memory. You can wear the memory in your mind and always think back of what a great time you had in those sad moments, in those moments that's not so good. It's always memories that you can bring out or watch that uplifts you and empowers you to keep going.
Now, there was one word that you said there that made a lot of sense.
What's that?
watch. So yeah, buy me a nice watch for memories or a nice little ring or something to that effect.
This is Cheryl, so you know who need a budget.
Well, I think he probably is coming from the kids' standpoint because the kids, they really don't understand things from our point of view. But you know what? And I'm sure all three of us have dealt with this when we were growing up. Sometimes you just gotta, it just is what it is. Like you'll just have to understand later. I'm sure all three of us have been there as kids. Like our parents did something we didn't like, told us no to something that we wanted them to say yes to.
Right, right. And I think it's just what you said at the beginning, just having that candid conversation with your family and letting them know, hey, this is the time we're living in, and this is what's going on. So let's create something. I think that's the best thing, and make sure that everyone has that understanding. We
Right.
may not like it, but hey, we're
We're gonna
together.
make the best of it.
You're going to make the best of it. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have some comments that's coming in. Um, I think Wanda is saying before the shutdown, more than 67% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
That
And
was
that,
even more, and that is true.
yes, and that was even before, right? And Anita Hill is saying, send this to
Send
GA,
this
to
to
Georgia.
Georgia so you can know what growing up without all the hoopla would be like.
Listen, I have really tried to discipline myself way back in the day. So a lot of stuff. Now I'm gonna tell you my fault, Cheryl. I am a big spender when it comes to food and restaurants. Like I eat out a lot. I may not get my hair done and my nails done, and that's not me. But food, oh yeah, that with no problem. I would go and spend sometimes 40, 50, $60 a pop, and I be by myself.
I'm glad you said it because I was
That's
about to
why
bust.
that's why MJ is like, wait, hold up.
Yeah. So if anything, that would be my biggest hurt financially. Yeah. But I would say everything else, I pretty much have a great discipline with it, except for that.
Okay.
So
Well,
Cheryl,
go
oh, go
ahead,
ahead.
MJ. I'm
No, you
sorry.
first.
No, I was
You
just
first.
gonna say overall, just like Lady Des was saying, everyone's budget and their spending habits are different. So, I help families come up with what's called a financial independence number. So that basically is the number that whenever you're thinking about retiring, there's a number out there based on your lifestyle and how you expect to live, how much money you need to have saved to retire. So, that's a number that, we help families identify. And then once we have identified that number, then we look at where you are currently and how much time in between now and when you are going to retire. So, like if there's a shortfall there, then we may make some adjustments to lifestyle. Or you can make more money. That's always an option also.
Mm-hmm.
We hear a lot now about, a part-time job, side hustles. You hear a lot about that these days. So, there are other ways. We all have gifts and talents, and maybe a teacher who works for the school system can tutor on the side, or they're all, a singer can sing at weddings. There are all types of gifts and talents that we have. So that is another option, for all of us to look for ways to earn additional money if there's a shortfall.
Let's kind of change courses for a little bit.
Okay.
Now, we know that spending money sometimes brings joy,
Mm-hmm.
but this time of year is not always happy for everyone because some people struggle emotionally because the holidays are not as pleasant because of the loss of loved ones,
Yes.
um, or they're going through whatever it is that they're going through mentally, especially when money is, tight. What does that lead to? That leads to depression, anxiety, and isolation. how do we deal with that pressure?
Well, prayerfully, the individuals have, whether it's family members or close friends or even a therapist, that they can talk to about those things. We talk about depression and, you know, different things that make us sad and those pressures, and we're seeing it a lot in the news. We see, I don't think it was financial, but the cowboy player who, earlier this week,
Yeah.
Yes.
there's just, we're seeing quite a bit of that. So, in terms of, my expertise, I'm not a therapist or anything like that, but I've lived life. So, what has helped me, um, just overall, whether it was financially because of finances or some other reason that I, felt sad, therapy, friends, scripture, a combination of all those things.
That's
Definitely.
awesome.
And
No,
Des, before you ask your question, let me just interject here because Wanda Ewing just said something very important in the chat. For people that are dealing with mental health challenges and the financial stress, the depression, the anxiety, listen, there is help out there. You can pick up your phone and call 988. Um, the mental health is real. It really is. And especially around the holiday time when people have lost loved ones or they're living paycheck to paycheck and don't know where their next check is coming from, or dealing with this governmental
I mean,
fiasco that we're dealing with. You know, if you feel like you're in a situation and you need somebody to talk to, pick up your phone and dial 988. Go ahead, Des.
yeah, and that's good to know, MJ. And Cheryl brought up the football player, and
Yes.
he made his first NFL touchdown that Sunday. And what was it, that Tuesday, Wednesday, he was gone. So we just never know where a person is mentally, despite their status, in spite of their status, in spite of their position, their title, whoever it is, it could happen to any one of us. So we have to be very intentional when it comes to dealing with others, and showing the love of Christ. And also just lending a helping hand. If you see a brother or sister that is in trouble, and you are capable and you're able to help, then you extend that helping hand, because you just never know. I want to ask you this, and I know that you talk a lot about prayer. I heard you mention prayer, and you are a woman of God. I want to ask you, how can we encourage those out there that that may have a problem, or they're going through issues, and focusing on the peace and the presence and their purpose, and instead they're just trying to have this facade like everything is okay, and they have the financial means but really don't. What words of encouragement would you give those that are listening right now?
well, what's coming to mind is a lot of times we think that we are alone. We think we're the only one that is not at a place financially where we think we should be. Or like when you pretend, when you wear the mask, because I've done it before, it's because you think you have to be someplace where you think you're supposed to be.
Right.
When in reality, we are exactly where God wants us to be. But, we're thinking, oh, I should, a lot of times we're comparing, right? Oh,
Yes.
this person has this, my classmate has this, my cousin or sister, whatever, we're comparing. And my husband says something a lot that I think is so powerful and is so true, for us to run our own race. Run your
Absolutely.
own race. So if someone else is further in your mind, further along, that's fine. That's their race. That's what God has for them to do. So what I would recommend is focus on what you believe, from a Christian standpoint, focus on what you believe God has assigned for you to do. And that's usually going to look very different than anybody else, because he's all given us our own unique gifts and talents. And just reminding everyone that God loves us exactly where we are,
Yeah,
whether
absolutely.
we're in debt or overflowing in abundance. He loves us just the same.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of times when we're comparing and looking at others, we don't realize that the same place that we're trying to get where they are, they're struggling sometimes just as hard as we are trying to make it to their level. So that's just being practical. We a lot of times see the prosperity, but we don't see the struggle, or don't know that they're sometimes living paycheck to paycheck too, but making
Yeah,
it look well while they're doing it.
that
Absolutely.
definitely could be.
And MJ, we talk a lot of that's one word that comes up a lot on our shows and our platforms when we're encouraging or speaking is comparison. And I think a lot of us, we get stuck there. We get stuck in the comparison. And just like you said, a lot of times these people are maxing out their credit cards. They are, they're spending more than they have. They don't even know how they're going to pay their bills. Okay, so if we just stop the comparison game, and like you said, your husband say, run your own race. No matter what state that you're in, be okay with that. Be okay with that. And if it's not where you need to be or where you want to be, then you ask God to help you elevate from that and give you the wisdom of how to be disciplined to spend and to live, and give you that direction. Because if everybody is comparing, who's going to be you? Who's going to be them? Who's going to be themselves and say, hey, I don't have it like that. MJ always try to put lavish things on me, but I'm like, I don't have it like that. I live within my means.
How
And
do you live with the Okay, so we're not gonna do this because we have a
I'm
guest.
serious.
We're not gonna do this because we have a guest, but I'm gonna just go down the list. Wigs every other day, eyelashes, high C orange every day. Okay, so I'm not gonna do this. But what I'm gonna say, Cheryl, wisdom without a plan won't work. So what's a realistic
Absolutely.
way for families to create a holiday budget, even if they're starting late in the game?
I would start with what we talked about a little bit earlier, like identifying realistically how much do you have to spend. So we don't want to use the budget word, but so we can say it a different way. What resources are available? And I mean, maybe I know families sometimes we're like, okay, especially because the kids don't really understand. Maybe the adults don't exchange gifts. That's an idea. Just determine how much you are able to put aside for gifts, and do something for the kids. If they're really, really, really little, then you know they won't really understand anyway. So, but so that's one suggestion. But definitely determine how much you have, or how much you want to allocate, and then go from there. And then there are all types of sales, things like that. And then if it's just not there, then we go back to what we talked about before, having the conversation. Or maybe, family members can help out, or something, if it's something for the children that you'd like to do, maybe, someone outside your immediate family can help out for this year, especially those who are dealing with government shutdown. And then there are so many families. I know it's a little bit different from your question, but there's some families that it's beyond gifts. Like there's some families like trying to figure out food and just the really basic
Right,
necessities.
right.
So maybe that's why going back to the conversation, maybe this year for some families is just different. And I know usually there are organizations that donate gifts and things like that. I don't have the names of them all offhand, but I do know that there are usually organizations, in terms of gifts for children, that will they do giveaways for families who are in need. So I know that's available as well.
And you know what, Des, before you ask your next question, I think we'll research some of those agencies that are giving away free toys and we'll post it so that they can go and if there's anybody in need, reach out to those organizations, so that at least the child will have a toy because like you said, it's rough. It's rough, and sometimes people just don't have it.
Have it.
And, you know, the economy today, it is not getting any better or any easier. And it's, to a point where we each have to lean on each other. So whether it be food or gifts, I'm going to research it and we'll post later, some of the places where kids can get food and toys because there's tons of toy giveaways that are taking place. Even with Thanksgiving being right around the corner, there are going to be tons of turkey giveaways and things of that nature. So I definitely will research it and we'll post it to conversations with them too.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah.
And MJ, I think, excuse me, I think that this is something that we talked about it a little earlier, and just different phases of it that we should stick with all throughout this month and maybe leading into next month because there's so much going on in our world today. Like we said, the government shutdown and jobs that have been secured for years, government jobs, government positions, and just jobs in itself that has just provided a security for a lot of people thinking that this would never happen to me. I would never be in this place. Now find themselves in a certain situation that they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do because they got so comfortable in living in one way. And I see Wanda is saying creating multiple streams of income is very important. I believe that God has given us all a gift to use what we got on the inside. And that's something that I had to find out when my government job was gone. And that was a cushion. And that's why I can speak at a place where you
Do
thought
we have
you
to do this again?
I'm sorry?
Do we have to do this again?
No, I'm just saying where you thought you had a security blanket and you just got comfortable in that way. And now when that is taken from you, you have to learn to stand on your own and pray and ask God for direction and start creating those multiple streams of income. And I was at a place where I had the multiple streams of income, but I really wasn't. It was like a hobby to me. It's like because I had something to fall back on. But now you have to make this make money for you and your family. So we have to just be more intentional in looking into what that gift that God has given us and to learn how to monetize that. I think that Dr. Wanda is on, and she's saying local police stations are partnering with Walmart here to provide complete family dinners for several families here in Ohio. Check local agencies. So
Yeah.
those are the different ideas. Local urban leagues. There's so many different organizations that are really leveling up even more than they did the previous years because they understand how many families that are going through a lot and that are struggling financially. And we just want to make sure that they are aware that there are resources out there. Anita Hill said Salvation Army, United Way. So there are so many different organizations that are out there that are helping. And a lot of the mega churches are, giving back. So we have to just tap in. Don't give up. Don't give up. There is help out there. Contact us. Contact Dr. Wanda Ewing is in the Ohio area. Anita Hill is in the Georgia area. And so we have people that we're connected to. So if you need that help, if you need that financial guidance, Miss Cheryl Knight Locke is here to give you that financial guidance that you would need, but you have to be ready to be disciplined and to break all of those bad habits.
And speaking of discipline, this is one thing that Cheryl said earlier. I'm just going to paraphrase. Now, she said the B word, which was budget. But this conversation is not just about the money. It's not just about the cash. It's about what she said, changing your mindset. We've got to
Yes,
shift our focus from what we could buy to what we could build, love on family and
Absolutely.
contentment. So, Cheryl, with that being said, how can we shift from a consumer mindset to a contentment mindset and still enjoy this holiday season?
Um, but I think we talked about some of the things earlier, like the memories and, having the conversations and things like that. And I think overall, it's even beyond, like, yes, holiday season, but we can even start our new year. We start usually January 1st. So we're going to shift some things. We're going to change and we're going to create some new habits. But I mean, why not start that today?
right. I agree.
And it's baby steps. Like, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Hmm.
I even compare it to health goals. I have health goals. I'm sure, we, uh, we saw each other at an event a couple weeks ago. MJ didn't know who I was, probably because I'm a little heavier than the last time he saw me. He didn't say it, but I can
Cheryl,
say
that is not really it. I don't recognize anybody these
it.
days.
That's very sweet of you. But that lady does. That's probably why.
That's really
Yeah, that's probably why. But it's okay. But it's been years since I've seen him. So that it took years for me to gain weight. So for me to lose weight, it's not gonna be next week I'm gonna lose all the weight. And it's
Mhm.
the same principle with money. You know, if I've been doing things a certain way for 20, 30, 40 years, to say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be this brand new person 100% is unrealistic. So maybe we can, start a baby step, like we said before, like maybe just track your spending. Even if you don't do anything different, just track it so at least you're aware. Like, how do you change your mindset? Maybe you can pick up a money book and read it. Read, one goal that I have is to read 10 pages a day of a financial book.
Oh, that's
So, when you read, you're gonna change. You're getting exposure to something else.
something different.
Yeah. So, for those who are Christians, there are lots of scriptures in the Bible about money, and there's guidance that is in the Bible in terms of how we should deal with our finances. So, there are just some ways that you can start baby steps, like identify scripture maybe about finance and read that in morning at night, or read 10 pages a day, track your spending. Those are some things you could do. Or identify if you need additional income, identify, think about, list your gifts and talents, and is there a way you can monetize that? Or has there been an opportunity that came your way that you said no to, that maybe you can go back and revisit so you can earn some additional income?
Well, Cheryl, I want to say thank you because this conversation has been rich and relevant.
Yes,
I say thank you so much for sharing such needed wisdom.
absolutely. And I really appreciate you, Cheryl. And for those that may be listening or going to watch the replay, Cheryl, can you give them your information of how they can follow you if they need that financial counseling, that advice, that guidance? How can they follow you? How can they connect with you for your assistance?
They can reach out to me. I'm Cheryl Knight Locke on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn, Cheryl Knight Locke, so they can find me there as well. And
Awesome.
it's been a pleasure. Thank you both for inviting me and allowing me on your platform.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. Thank you for just sharing your wisdom, like MJ said, sharing your heart and the tips that we all need. Because, like I said, we believe in bringing this information to our community to help and to get that mindset shift happening, because a lot of times we get stuck. We get comfortable in living in one way, even when we don't have it. Even when we don't have it, we find a way to navigate ourselves to make it work. with what we don't have.
I
So
understand
let's kind
exactly.
of let's kind of not put that pressure on us and just cut off some of the things that we really don't need.
And most importantly, family, remember the holidays are about heart, not about the hustle. So don't let debt steal your joy or your peace. And remember, if you're in a medical crisis or mental crisis, the number is 988.
Yes.
So, with
Yes.
that being said, family, I'm your boy MJ. She is.
Lady Des.
And we'd like to say thank you again to Cheryl Knight Locke. We will see you next time right here on Conversations with Them Two, each and every Monday night at 8:30 in the p.m. And don't forget to follow our YouTube channel, Conversations with Them Two. Like, subscribe, share, and get the book. You are the stage. Lady Des, it's time for you to get off the stage.
I'm out. Good night, everybody.
Good
I'll see
night.
you guys next week.